How it's weird to be on this side. Howdy, folks. Welcome once again to the Hotspur Hood. We have a big show tonight. Another week supporting Spurs, another week of drama, another week that we're unbeaten. No one can deny that it's going well. Under Ange, still very, very early days. 7 games, 7 league games, 1 in the Carabao Cup. People forget about the Carabao Cup. I don't want to sound like negative Nancy, but we're not completely unbeaten. But still, the signs are very good. And obviously a big win on the weekend. Before we get going, please make sure whether you're new to the channel or whether you've been watching us before. I know people watch us and don't subscribe. Please make sure you do. It's free, as is liking and hitting that notification bell. All those things help the channel grow a massive amount. So please do that, folks. Guest today. Well, the reason I'm on this side is because we've got another permanent member of the Hotspur Hood crew. Dan E is here. He released his first video last night on the channel last night. Check it out if you haven't done so already. Other guests, Bruce is making his debut. He's had his own channel in the past with some fellow Yidos. And we got Jacob coming on. He'll be on in about 10 minutes from the Spurs one on top. He's been on loads of times. I'm done with meets and greets. Let's get to the meat of things. There's a lot to talk about tonight. So first up, I have to say this, obviously Tottenham-Liverpool, the game. I want to stay away from VAR just for now until later. Now, Dan, get that out of your mind because you probably, I don't know if you got notes or something. I don't know. In terms of the VAR, there's so much to discuss just with that alone. At least Sky Sports tell us that. Twitter tells us that. There's so much to talk about. But overall, 90 minutes, do you feel like we deserved the 3 points? Did we deserve the 3 points on Saturday?
Do you know what? In some ways, no, not at all. Because I think a few of them players had a complete howler that day. I mean, one that's pretty much shocked me is Van der Ven, where everyone's been preaching how well we played. I thought we had a terrible game. 5 times he got caught well up the line. And if Salah wouldn't have lost a yard of pace like he has, and if that VDV wouldn't have been so quick on his toes, they could have probably had 3 goals out of that. I thought he had a terrible game. Kulusevski, he just looks like an old log, doesn't he? He just can't get past his man. The minute he gets pulled over to get out the way so Porro can have a go, we get the crossing. And one thing I will say, that, how do I say this politely? That idiot Richarlison, I even said,
man. Come on now, he hit the post.
I even said by his standards, it was still crap. He had an all right first half, But look, if that man wants to portray the way he looks like, the way he plays football, the best thing we can do is cut his head off. And then he really would look like a headless chicken running around the pitch. He is awful. He just has not got a clue what he's doing. Like, literally, take the man's head off and it'll suit the way he plays. He runs around like a headless chicken. He really does. And then when he gets the ball, he don't even know what to bloody do with the thing. And he's meant to be Brazil's number 9 or whatever. I mean, the comical thing is he keeps Jesus out of the team, so don't say much for him. But, as a whole, I really don't think we had the best of games. But playing against 9 people, we had to win.
Yes. There's lots of people in the chat. Big up, everyone. Big up. Bruce, do you feel like we deserved the 3 points? You could say, the biggest games you played so far this season, Man United first half, we weren't that great. Arsenal first 35 minutes, we really weren't great. So they were the other big teams you played so far. I mean, the game itself, do you feel like we deserved the victory?
Nah, not at all. We must be the only team that actually looks worse playing against fewer players. I just think as soon as the sending off happened, the first sending off, we managed to get into the game a little bit more. Because that first 25 minutes, it was all Liverpool. They had the more chances. I mean, we maybe had more possession, which you'd expect at home, but there was nothing to it. And then it was just the second half. I just thought we just went to sleep. As soon as the second red card, I just thought we completely dropped off the pace. I was almost embarrassed, to be honest, the fact that we were struggling against 9 men. I don't care what team it is. When you've got two men more, you should be all over them. I don't know what was going on with the players. And just some of his subs as well, taking Son off as soon as you take him off, I know there was murmurs that he wasn't 100% fit, but I'd rather keep him on there with one leg than leave Richarlison on the pitch. I'm in agreement. He's absolutely awful. He's one of our worst players, and I think again we've got away with one there. Not complaining about it, but 2 home games on the bounce now. We've managed to get some points out of games that I think we've played dreadful in.
I mean,
I'll tell you what, right? I'll tell you what. That's a great point with the substitutions, because I thought the same against Arsenal. To be fair, I thought about the substitution because I watch extended highlights, and sometimes you obviously don't see the subs in extended highlights. But Son and Maddison, I know Maddison got injured in the Arsenal game. He was a bit, he probably wouldn't have lasted the 90 minutes. But if you're going to take Maddison on, you've got to keep Son on, even if his legs are gone. And he was on a hat trick against Arsenal. He's done the same against Liverpool, and I'm in the same mentality with that. I do think that was an issue. I've got to get some chats in, because David Clark, this is a pretty good stat. Ange now unbeaten in his last 51 home games. I think 47 of those were in a Mickey Mouse league. It has to be said, it is a Mickey Mouse league, but that's still incredible. That's still a record. Oh look, Danny Dyer has become a permanent member of this channel. Yes, Danny is a permanent member. Big up everyone from a boiling hot 29 degrees Toronto. Come on, you Spurs. Mr. Brian Dable. I invited him on the show today, but fair enough. He's made his trip back to Toronto, and we're very jealous, the Dable Nater himself. So good to have you in, my man. Right. Look, the game, both, I'm not going to get into as I said, not going to get into VAR right now, but the sending-offs could have gone either way. They were sending-offs as far as I'm concerned. What usually gets forgotten about this in the last game was the keepers played well. Vicario played well. Alisson made some unbelievable saves. He made 2 world-class saves, Alisson. He really did. So I did want to mention that. And Richie hit a post as well. We had chances, but the second half was miserable. When it went down to 9 men, it looked like it got even worse. It wasn't that great when it went down to 10, but yeah, it looked like we were really, really troubled. But you just know, after you found out that was, we knew that was onside, you just knew something was coming. You just, Matip, you just knew that cross was going in the net. And of course, I was absolutely, I was loving it. I was loving life, especially in a pub full of non-Spurs fans, not Liverpool fans, non-Spurs fans. We are hated. Trust me, we are hated across the board. I don't know why, but we just are. Well, look, loads of drama, like the Arsenal game, like the Sheffield United game, late injury time, 2 goals deep into injury time against Sheffield United as well. So you can't say there's not drama. Hell of a lot of drama. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the lineups out. I don't like looking at the bloody scores they put on SofaScore, the ratings of players. It's not me. They even do ratings of managers now, which is just, that's not me. But just getting a good view of the lineup again. Who the best and worst performers for you, Dan? Anybody stand out? Anybody really bad? To be fair, Van der Ven, it looks like they agree with you on Van der Ven with a 6.3 here. To be fair, he's getting really bad ratings. If I don't go by that, but he has been getting really, really bad ratings off SofaScore.
Don't get me wrong, he's been good since he got here. A little bit shaky on the first game, but seriously, that last game, as all I kept hearing on every page in that is everyone praising him. And honestly, like I said, I thought the man had a terrible game. It could have been worse, maybe. But like I said, if Salah wouldn't be like 31 coming on 32, it wouldn't have lost a yard or 2 of pace like Son has, basically. It'd have been past him. And if that boy, he could sprint for Holland, whatever, and that, yeah. If he weren't so quick on his toes as well, it'd have been caught off there big time. 4 or 5 times that happened. Kulusevski, again, like I said, he just could not get past his man come love nor money. And how the hell has Richarlison got a 7.6? I don't care if the man set up Son. Fair play, well done. I'll give you a Blue Peter badge for it, mate. I'm telling you.
He got an assist. It's like Football Manager. If you get an assist, that boosts it.
Mate, so. It's like I said, he runs around the pitch like he's something out of World War Z or something. But there's nothing at the end of it usually. He just has not got a clue. I tried saying give the player time on that. No. You know what? We'd have probably been better off if we took him off and played with 10 men and they played with 9. I think he's that poor because as long as he ain't there to give him the option, he ain't going to screw it up. I think the man is poor.
That is true. That is actually true. When you got more players, sometimes you keep giving it to the player that's obviously not good enough. When you could give it to someone else, you just your mindset changes. The mindset changes when they're a man up, don't they? So I'm not sure I would have taken him. I would have rather him stay on the pitch. I think Richarlison had a good game. For Richarlison, I think he had a good game. But overall, he doesn't fit into this starting 11. Well, he might do because we don't have backup as a striker. We don't have an actual striker other than Son. But he shouldn't. He shouldn't. If we really want to fight for top 4, I think in the long run, keeping Richarlison in and starting 11, I don't think we'll get there. But yeah, Bruce, any really great performances to talk about? Anyone that really struggled for you? I mean, Van de Ven, what did you make of him? And what did you make of him in general?
I mean, I don't think he's that bad. There's times when I think his pace is a fantastic asset. Then again, you could balance that argument out and say if he was in the right position, he maybe then wouldn't need to rely on it. There was times in the game when I didn't think he played too well. I mean, for me, the standouts in there, one of the standouts for me was Udogie. I just think we've got an absolute gem of a player there. Totally. I mean, he's got 2 assists already. His progressive carries and passes as well. He's I think he's got second most in the squad behind Kulusevski. For me, we've got an absolute top class player there. But Maddison was all right in spells. I thought it was one of his more quieter games. But again, like for me, just Richarlison. I know he got the assist and he hit the post, and it probably was one of his better games. In all fairness to him, but I feel like everything slows down and breaks down when he gets the ball. Like he don't carry it forward. He needs about 3 or 4 touches to get the ball under control. I mean, our squad depth isn't great, so it's one of those until we get somebody better.
That showed big time when the subs were made. It shows just we have no depth whatsoever in that squad at all. I thought Porro had a banging game. I thought that was his second game. I mean,
he got man of the match. On Neil's rating said he got man of the match. So,
I'm one of the criminals that said I don't think this man's going to make it as a right back. I mean,
I didn't think he could defend
front, but I didn't think he could defend. But past 2 games, he's been pretty solid. And I don't think
he's always a better option in Emerson, regardless of what happened. I said, look, we've got to stick with Porro because he's definitely a better option in Emerson. Yeah. A little bit like Alexander-Arnold. Okay, doesn't offer much defensively, but if you get those assists, if you get that many assists, and you can work on your, the defensive side of your game over the months and years, then I think he might be a good signing. So I'm happy.
His past 2 games, he's been pretty solid on his defending. Though he's had 2 good defending games. His last 2.
Right, Jacob, you up, my friend. Welcome back, Jacob. You haven't missed much. You really haven't missed much. We haven't talked about the VAR yet. We haven't.
I thought I'd get into the middle of that.
I've seen some of your YouTube shorts on your channel, bruv. I've seen some of the YouTube shorts. I know you've got a lot to say about it, as has everyone. But just look, as you got it, I put the lineups out. And I asked, best performers, worst performers, and just, what did you make of the game overall? Did we deserve the 3 points?
Well, to be fair, in terms of the game, I'm drinking red wine because everything was red, wasn't it? We beat the Reds, red cards. We love it, don't we? Blood and thunder. But in terms of that, where'd you get them where the ratings gone from?
This is who scored. So this is whoscored.com. I'm pretty sure they nick it from Sofa.
Oh, right, yeah.
Sofa score, probably.
Yeah, they got that a bit messed up because I caught the end of that. Richarlison probably got that score because he assisted. Bissouma, I don't know how he gets a 6.8 because, again, I think we lose that game without him in midfield, even if Liverpool went to 10 men. Van de Ven's probably got that score just because of the one mistake, but I think in the round he was pretty decent. One thing they've got right, which is what I agree with Dan, is that Pedro Porro probably was man of the match. And again, I agree with Dan on the fact that I genuinely did not see this guy. I saw him adapting to British football, but I always thought that we'd need a 3 at the back for him to to be able to play. So when we started going into games and everyone's talking about Pedro Porro as part of the back four, I was quite sceptical because I thought,
would you have stuck with him over Emerson? Would you still have stuck?
I'll be real with you because with me, when I play football, I'm a defensive-minded footballer. So I'm like, right, if you're right back, make sure you defend first. If you can't cross, don't worry about that. Just make sure that your left winger ain't going past you. I'm quite old schoolish with that.
But when you really can't cross, when you get 2 assists in 60 games,
that's when you get annoyed, because how many times have we got Emerson Royal in positions and you're thinking, oh mate, like if that was, obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold was probably the best in the business, but you're thinking even if you're, we had Trippier back in the day, even if you've got someone like a Matty Cash at Villa, he'll deliver a 7 out of 10 cross. And we've got someone that I'm left-footed, and I reckon I could cross just as good as him with my right foot. Do you know what I mean? He weren't doing great. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's a difficult one, but the one thing I did like about Emerson Royal, his talent ain't great, but it was his character. You kind of thought, well, yeah, if he's getting rinsed by a winger, you can count on him to not give up, sort of thing. Whereas you got a lot of players out there that their winger takes them on 3 times, and as soon as they've been skinned 3 times, you feel like after 20 minutes you've got to pull them off. Whereas Emerson Royal would give it his all. So, but Pedro Porro, mate, like he shocked me, and he's done well the last couple of games. You know what I mean? Like he done well in the North London derby, which I thought that was the game where, granted, they didn't have their left wingers fit, but I generally think that even if they had Trossard on, Martinelli would have been a tough one for him. Don't get it twisted, but I think he's got the pace to cover himself on that. But they
didn't have Martinelli or Trossard, did they? They missed Martinelli and Trossard, which is big misses for them.
Exactly that. But he's done all right, man. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's done all right. But we'll probably speak about it more. But I'm not one of these Spurs fans that after 7 games is talking about save a seat in May. It's just one game at a time.
Personally, I said last season, you got to put him in front of Emerson. Do you know what? I'm in the same bracket when it comes down to effort. He's not someone that's going to go crying about it. He got a lot of stick from the Spurs fans because he was fucking terrible to begin with. I don't think he got a great deal better, but he gave it his all. Unlike, Eric Dyer, who goes to the manager's office, he goes to Levy's office, doesn't he? When he's not getting first team this season, starts, throwing his toys at the pram. He put the effort in, and apparently he spent like £1 million training himself up or something on an off season. So the guy cares. I just don't think he's good enough. I just don't think he's ever been.
Maybe he just needs to spend another couple of £1 million. I don't know.
To be fair, you've got to spend £1 million. You've got to spend £1 million on training. You probably know you're not very good, which is worrying.
You've got to do some overtime, isn't he?
Look, if I'm going to be totally honest with all yous and everyone on here, if you would have said a defensive game and gone back, let's say, a month or 2, I'd have probably put Royal on over Porro, because it did seem that Porro just could not defend come love nor money. And out of choice, I would have rather stuck him up on the right wing instead of Kulusevski. Because the other thing with Kulusevski as well, predictable is an understatement. You just know that 9 times out of 10, he's going to knock it to the left and maybe have a shot or a very poor cross with his left foot. And he's so predictable. It's like the defender even stands in front of him and steps to the right, ready for him to step to the left before he's even made his mind up on what he's going to do. For me, he needs to get his act together, that Kulusevski. But I totally agree with you. Porro, he shocked me. He shut me up. And the other part with Royal, the thing he's got a pair on him. I'll give him that, because when the whole fan base basically turned on him and everything, he basically said, you know what, stuff yours, I'm going to keep trying. And he did, and he had a couple of good games where Sancho got booed off and he burst into tears on the side of the pitch. It just shows.
What was that quote that Pedro Porro said? I'm not sure whether it's official, but he said something along the lines of "Stick me in the prison and I'll come out the leader" or something like that. I don't know whether it's real or not. But I thought if he said that, fair play to you.
He said it to Sherwood apparently, but I've only heard it. Apparently he did it to Tim Sherwood or some shit. But I don't know. It seems to have only come out now. I didn't hear it back in the day. Only come out since he got the assist against Liverpool, but who knows? Maybe he did.
You know, when you think of Kulusevski, I agree with Dan, but it's weird because even though he's predictable, in the last few games, even though I'll be sitting there thinking, you know what he's going to do, but then there's something about him. I don't know whether it's his strength or his directness. I think you can know what he's going to do, but then when Kulusevski's on form, it's like he goes into that position and there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas last season, he was doing that And he weren't, and it was just like, you're going to come inside. And because he lacked confidence potentially, like I saw a few glimpses in the North London derby where you'd look at him, he squared up Zinchenko, and you're thinking, go on, then go inside. But he'd go inside and then take on Declan Rice and then lay it off. And I'm thinking, right, you know what? Even though you're predictable, you took 2 players out of the game. Now we're in.
He ain't really been good for about 12 months, though, has he? Really, if we're going to be honest,
in the round, he hasn't. No, in the round, he hasn't.
I think Kulusevski is gifted, and I still say if we did with him what Juventus did with him a few times, maybe had him as a bit of backup for Maddison or whatever, or stuck him in the middle when Maddison comes off, and then stick whoever on the right, whatever way you want to do it. I think you'll see more out of the man in the middle because he's got that bit more pipe. He's got that bit more freedom to do with his left foot. Or just stick the man on the bloody left. I don't know, but on the right wing, for me, it ain't working. It's not working.
The thing is that we can't cuss Dan too much because I remember I was on a show. The last time I was on the show with you, Tommy, Dan was on here, and he was like, "Yeah, just stick Son up front, stick Son up front." I was like, "Oh, are you sure, mate?" And I didn't say nothing, but then since we stuck him up front, that's what I thought about them comments. I thought, flipping hell, he was right, you know.
Mate,
this is the thing. But this is the thing. Last season, his finishing for the first 6 months was fucking awful. He's snatching at everything, absolutely snatching 100%. At everything. But you know, Son is the sort of player who'll go 10 games without scoring. But if he scores 2 games on the bounce, he can go 10 games on the bounce of scoring. He's a confident boy. We know he's an emotional boy. He cries. Look, I don't want to sound nasty, but he cries all the time. So he's an emotional boy, isn't he, for South Korea Spurs? So, you know, he's a confidence character. And you just know now, if he stays fit, you know, we got goal scoring there. Because the goals he's scoring are wicked goals as well. The timing of his runs, the 3 against Burnley, I think. All three of those goals were fantastic. Real quality goals. So Dan's right in that regard. I mean, what is it, 6 goals now? He scored 6 goals in the league or something like that. I said he won't score 20.
That goal in the NLD, the first one, that's so underrated, you know, because like everyone keeps going on about, oh, he's a tap-in, but it's like that pass from Maddison, people don't really know their football when you understand that for him to like take on Saka and find Son in that madness, that I think that's a goal that's better than people think.
And Son's got to follow that. Son's got to take a risk and follow that run, the near post run that Maddison puts in. So two players on the same wavelength, like they were for the goal the other day as well. We've got WTP in the house, like Jeff Stelling back there, giving us the scores. I just realised that the Fulham Burnley game's getting played as well, which could be a big game down the line. That got postponed, so I think that's live now as well. So that could be important for us. We got Luton on
Luton, Burnley.
Burnley winning 1-0.
Yeah,
we got Luton on the weekend, and they just beat Everton. Was it Sunday? No, Saturday they beat Everton. So that's 3 games in 7 days for Luton. And they just got into the Premier League, so that's good for us. Definitely good for us. And we got early kickoff as well, 12:30 Saturday. So that's definitely, I think it works.
They're 1-0 down as well.
Yeah, I know, but this is Spurs we're talking about.
Spursy, isn't it?
It's like almost everybody's like sort of waiting for it, not just the away fans, but if we're all going to be honest, we're just waiting for that moment.
Early kickoff, like innit? You know what I mean?
It's like after that Man U game, it's like you almost knew the next game, which was the easier one, was the harder game because we're so known for doing something that maybe we shouldn't, and then when it's something that we should do easily, we just go all tits up, basically. I mean, that's just Spurs all over. They've made that for themselves. I mean, but at the moment, you can't really fault much of it. And a lot of people have slated a few of the subs that Ange has made. I mean, but what options does he have? I know when you want to get a goal, the last people you want to bring in is Skip, Højbjerg, and Davis. I mean, really. I mean, I think Højbjerg's better than people give him credit, but Skip, I think he's awful. And Davis, maybe as a backup's backup, he's all right sort of thing. But apart from that, I think he's pretty shocking as well. But what options did he have, really?
And this is the thing. If Maddison does get at some stage, trust me, Maddison's going to get injured. He's got a terrible record. He got injured twice this season. And this makes a good point, Dan, in terms of the Kulusevski thing could come in at camp. Because I don't trust Lo Celso there. Not in a million years do I trust Lo Celso in the camp position.
I forgot he was even there, flipping hell.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was there for Fulham. It was there for Fulham. A lot of the players came in at Fulham, didn't they? Who were fucking woeful. So, and he was one of them. So that could be an option. And that's a good thing because, look, I don't think Porro's going to play in the right wing this season. We've only got 2 right backs, and he's the first right back. It was definitely an option before we signed Brennan Johnson. I think Brennan Johnson on the right fighting with Kudo. I think, they'll be the competitors for that position. And, if Maddison does get injured, maybe put Kudo in there, stick Brennan Johnson on the right if they're both fit. Yeah, there are a few options there. I still have my reservations about not signing number 9. I'm going to talk about that in a second because we're linked with more number 9s as we go. But in terms of the game itself, look, I want to touch on the defense as well. Romero had a mixed game. He had a mixed game. Look, he was the one that kept Diaz onside. It should have been onside. It was the man that kept him onside. So that could have been a whole different situation. His positioning with VDV is a worry at times. Both of their positioning is a worry at times, and I've seen it in a lot of the games so far. Van der Ven's positioning itself is not great. But then at the same time, Romero, he does what he does best. He risked coming into the final third to get that winner against Liverpool. He stepped up and made that pass to Porro. So he assisted the assister. So he helped us win the game in many ways, although it was relatively easy against 9 men to make that pass. But still, look, they were good in terms of defensively. Romero outshone Van der Ven. I think Van der Ven is incredibly fast. We saw him keep up with Salah with balls in behind. But the problem is, the reason balls are in behind is because his awareness is not very good in the first place. His positional awareness isn't there right now. And I've seen it in multiple games. So, and we saw it against Liverpool. But look, I've never seen a centre-back, not for a long time, with boosters like him. The pace is just incredible.
So
man.
at one point, Salah was like nearly 3 yards ahead of him, and my man hadn't even turned round yet. And then my man catches him.
I missed Salah.
I know what bit you're on about as well, yeah.
But
You know what I mean? He's standing there. It blatantly came over him. Salah's like, "Yes, mate, thank you. Come again," and he's off. And this fella, he turns round and catches up. By the time he's running, I think Salah's nearly 4 yards clear of him, and he managed to get in front of him. And that's what I'm saying. If Salah wouldn't have lost a yard of pace like he has, like Son has, I mean, that's all just to do with getting in your 30s and everything. There's still a good chance Salah would have been off there. But wow, that man can run. I mean, he could definitely do Olympics and that, couldn't he? I mean, he ain't slow.
In terms of explosive as well, who would you say is the most explosive in the league? I'll give you an insight. I'll tell you, it's Adama Traore, right? And against Fulham, he done the same thing. Remember against Adama Traore, he kept up with him when he run through multiple times. Adama Traore, Van der Ven, he outpaced him, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Because for me, Adama is the most explosive. He had a really bad game against Fulham, but pretty much everyone did because our backup's not good enough. So there are problems with Van der Ven. There are problems, but he's still very, very young, and there are some major positives too. But I'm not gonna lie and say I think he played well against Liverpool or in some of the games this season. I don't think he has. We see the 2 own goals as well. That's down to positioning. Sometimes his position is not there. It's got to be down to positioning. If it keeps happening, you need to score an own goal in the game before as well. You got to look at it. So I don't think anyone was amazing. 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. A lot of the players, I would say, the other day.
Doji and Porro were the best 2, I thought.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's definitely 7 out of 10s, probably 8 out of 10s for them. But we didn't need a performance against the big boys. You don't need a performance; you just need 3 points, and we got it somehow. We got it. We got the 3 points. That's all that matters. So, as I just mentioned, strikers. We continue to be linked with strikers, with the window closing relatively recently, just a month ago now. Gimenez is the latest guy, the final striker. Gimenez. Tony, over the last month, is continuously being linked. But Dan, I asked this question. You're the man. You're the advocate for putting him up front, as we've just discussed. But do we even need a striker this January with Son?
I don't think we do. Because if Johnson ain't injured, he can play striker as well. He can cover that place. We've got cover up front. We've got cover on the wings. When Bentancur comes back in, for me, there's only one place for him to take, and that's if he can get it off Sarr, because a lot of people know but disagree. I think Basuma is a much better overall player than Bentancur, but that's just personal opinion. But I think Basuma and Maddison is taken, done and dusted. It's over. He's got to come in and take that place off Sarr. Has he got the capability? Yes, from what we've seen over last season and the season before. But what is he going to be like when he comes back from that ACL? Because I can only name 1 or 2 players that I've ever seen in football that have come back the same player on the same quality after an ACL damage. I mean, look at Virgil van Dijk. For me, he ain't nowhere near to standards of what he was 3 years ago. And that's not because he's aged. That's that injury that done him. He's actually wary about going. I mean, on his first season, no one ever got past him, for God's sake. No one.
You never see him engage in tackles anymore properly, do you?
Exactly. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. He's not. He's a lot more wary about going into a tackle because he's scared of doing himself again after getting scissored by Pickford.
Yeah, exactly.
So with Benson Core, I must admit I'm sceptical until I see it of what he's going to be like, because I have not seen players come back good from an ACL injury. Not at all.
Yeah, and Van Dijk was one of the very, very best. I think we can all agree centre backs for 2 seasons easily. Same as Zaniolo. I watch a lot of Serie A, and Zaniolo had two really, really bad injuries for Roma. And Zaniolo, you know, when the Roma fans say this guy's the next Totti, you know there's something special, because they just do not. He is like a god. Totti is a god in Rome. So when they're saying this guy's the next Totti, you know there's something special. And Zaniolo was special till he done his ACL. And he won't be the same player because they will duck from certain challenges.
Well, they've sold him, haven't they?
Apparently, the only
Villa
one.
Now, isn't he?
He's what?
He's at Villa now, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's at Villa now. I don't think he's ever going to be the same player, because he was at those heights. He was at Gallo, wasn't he, for like 6 months?
That's it,
He's got an attitude on him as well. But you give into that attitude because he was so naturally good, so powerful, can score from anywhere, can get past people at will. So if they get like 80% of Zaniolo or Villa, they've done well. They had a great transfer window for me, Villa, obviously. Where they smashed Brighton 6-1, was it, on the weekend? 5-1 or 6-1?
I did not see that coming. I didn't see that coming.
Destroyed them, man. They destroyed them. So they for me, they probably had the best transfer window. Pau Torres, Diaby, Tillemans on a free. I think, you know, Emery's a good manager.
Yeah, that was solid window, mate. Solid window.
He might do okay, but we're getting off topic. In terms of the striker situation, Jacob, would you be disappointed if he didn't sign a striker this January?
What it is, you've got to be careful, because I think we need a striker, but you know, imagine if it was possible. I know it's not possible to go and get Ivan Toney and tell him that he's going to rotate with Son, and he'd be happy with that. You'd love that. But then, you know, if you're going to go to Brentford and knock on their door and say, yeah, can we have Ivan? They're going to be saying, right, 70 mil. Now, are we going to spend 70 mil on somebody to rotate? No chance. We would, you know, Daniel Levy ain't even going to spend 70 million on someone to start. So it's one of those where, you know, like Dan said, we have got cover, you know what I mean? But it's like, I think the one thing we need is just, you know, not just up front in all positions. We just need, you know, people that challenge for titles and everything like that. It's like when someone gets injured, you've got somebody that isn't as good as that player, but you're happy with him for 3 or 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're on the same standards, isn't it?
This is what I'm saying. So, you know, I'm not, you know, Man City are level above, but, you know, like, for instance, if Bernardo Silva gets injured, it's kind of like, yeah, don't worry about it. If De Bruyne gets injured, you know, that Man City had 3 months or 4 months where De Bruyne was injured and they went and won the league at a canter. So it's like, obviously, we're not trying to be Man City, but then every club is trying to do that. You know, when Liverpool won the league, Salah would get injured. He'd be like, all right, we've got Mane, Firmino, and we'll chuck someone else on the right wing for a couple of weeks and they'd still go and win games. Arsenal are trying to do that now. You know, they had Trossard, Martinelli. If it weren't Saka, Trossard could go out there. If it ain't Jesus, it's Martinelli. So that's what we need to be doing, because, you know, I look at our starting lineup, and if we are lucky, just like Liverpool were when they won the league, and you've got every player fit, game in, game out, without any European competition, it's nice. But then there's certain players, like, you know, everyone forget. I think a lot of Tottenham fans forget that our central midfielder is like me. He's African. So in January, when them two boys both go, it goes back to Ollie Skip and Højbjerg. And I like them two players, to be fair, but they ain't Basuma and Sarr. You know, either way, none of them are like Basuma. So you're not going to go and find another Basuma for 30 mil. But there's players out there that could do the job just to sit in while Basuma does his thing in Africa. Hopefully he gets knocked out in the group stages and then he comes back. Whereas right now, you know, Højbjerg's been kicking off a stink, saying that, you know, he's not, you know, apparently Ange hasn't, you know, lived up to his promise, and then Atletico Madrid are coming in again. So you don't want it to be where the African boys go off and then all of a sudden Højbjerg says he wants to go, and all of a sudden it's Ollie Skip, and, you know, all of a sudden we're bringing Alfie Devine back.
He does not look happy, Højbjerg. I knew that this guy sitting on a bench would not be happy. I knew he wouldn't be happy from some of the things he said about Conte after the Southampton game. Obviously, the speech that Conte put forward, we knew he was getting sacked, and he was like, he didn't tell us in training what he wanted from us. He didn't come to us straight after the game. He went to the post-match press conference that was actually at the Southampton game. So you don't say that shit. You don't spout that shit about your manager, especially someone that fucking played you every single game, you know? So I'll rate Højbjerg, but I can see him causing trouble behind the scenes. And that is a worry. When Sarr and Basuma go, Sarr's so young and Basuma had injuries last season. We can denounce Conte all we want, but Basuma was injured for the second half of last season. So same with Bentancur. You didn't have Bentancur or Basuma last season for the second half of it. So, you know, Basuma's a fantastic player. We saw that at Brighton. I think he's showing his qualities now. But I completely forgot. I didn't realise about the African Cup of Nations until the window was just coming to an end. So
don't forget, it's also the Asian Cup as well, January to February. Yeah, so essentially, Sonny could be missing for a month as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, someone mentioned that on the show as well. When we started talking about the African Cup, and they mentioned the Asian Cup as well. I'm like, forget
I'll see you lot in February then. Valentine's Day, get me on the show, Tommy.
Oh yeah. Quick one here. My man's had to come off. You can't see that clear. Saka, he's just hobbled off because he's been busted, mate. And they reckon he's got a good injury on him now. But he's been taken off against Lens. He's busted. Arsenal lost their little gem now.
I know I don't like to talk about Arsenal, but then Arteta was asking for this because in the North London derby he got injured. Then they played.
He was injured before.
He was injured again, and then now he's played again. Get off.
Yeah, either way, it's still good to see.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, but look, David, my point is whether he had long COVID, whether he was out because of a marital situation, it doesn't matter why it was out. That's what I'm saying. The whole point was he was out. So, that's what I'm getting at. So in terms of the strikers, Bruce, we've put forward why we probably certainly need a striker in January now. And just in general, do we need someone to come in for Son?
I think we do. The chances of us getting somebody in January, I think, are slim to none. Knowing how Levy operates, we're not spending big money on somebody. And I don't see the point in us signing somebody for signing's sake. There's a few people I think we should maybe take a look at. I think Ollie Watkins would be a good option, good backup. Ivan Toney. Chances of prizing either of those two away from the clubs in January, it's not happening.
No chance. And Tony, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins, you're spending seven. They'll probably wrap him up with a new deal soon, won't they?
Villa are better than us right now. Why are you going to come to Spurs? Like, seriously, why would you come to Spurs?
I just think with the players that they've got, I mean, you've got Richarlison and Brennan Johnson combined. What was it? Combined league goals of 9 between them last season. So I can't see him coming from them two. I mean, I could be wrong and I'll hold my hands up, but the goals aren't coming from there. I mean, Son picks up an injury or when he goes to the Asian Cup for a month, I think we're in trouble. We've got that young kid, Valise. I mean, you're going to have to play him a lot to get him up to scratch ready for January. And even then, you putting all your eggs in an 18-year-old basket, aren't you? It's worrying. It's worrying that this wasn't addressed in the summer, knowing that players are going to be leaving for a month, and the cover for them's poor, really poor.
But we need defender. We need a defender more than anywhere else. Because don't get me wrong. Again, I think Skip is useless, but Højbjerg, you can muscle him for a few games. Yeah. I mean,
I thought it was. I mean, I know he only played a couple of minutes, but I thought when he came on against Liverpool, he was good. He was best forward a few times. Carried the ball.
Playing against 9 men who were sitting in front of the bloody goal. Of course, he's going to get forward.
Don't mention that bit.
It's a bit hard not to get forward, isn't it? And but I think it's a defender. We need a cover for defender because if we get one central defender injury, we are screwed. Totally screwed. I mean, do you want to see Eric Dead back on the page? like back in the game. And the reason I call him Eric Dead instead of Eric Dyer is because he plays like he's dead, basically. The man ain't got a clue. He's just, like I said, he's another one like on the same level as Richarlison. The only difference is on if you put Eric Dyer in World War Z, it'd be one of the zombies that waddles about, sort of thing, not one of the ones that just chases everything but can't catch it, like Richarlison. Yeah? Eric Dyer, I think he's in the same sort of category. It'd be that zombie that just walks about like that. Mate, the fella, he's piss poor. He's crap.
But we're just talking about come January. These players could get the injuries way before January. You know, we've done our business for 3 months.
Exactly.
So we're just talking. I'm just saying it because we're linked with players. I'm seeing it in the papers and stuff. That we're everyone's talking about it. You go on other shows, they're talking about Gimenez as potential striker, Gimenez as potential new striker, but we're still a long way away. If someone gets injured now, where are you going? I mean, as Jacob said, Valise. I mean, we put Richarlison in there. Richarlison was always a left winger. He was a left winger for Everton when he scored 13 goals on the bounce. He was a left winger. The only time he's ever played as a striker was for Brazil because Vinicius is on the left, and Everton when Calvert-Lewin was injured for the last 6 months before he signed him. That's it. So we really don't have strikers. We needed one. When you sell Kane, you should get a decent level striker, and even on loan in January for me, we should have got one on loan. So this January, definitely a centre back and definitely a striker. But I do worry, like Dan said. I mean, behind Van der Ven and Romero, who are not both the finished articles anyway. You know, Romero wasn't great last season, was he? And Van der Ven's still very young, very early in his career. And behind them, you know, I would have kept Sanchez. Just for now. I would have kept him over Dyer for definitely.
I'd have kept him over Dyer.
100%.
We got Ashley Phillips, who's played 7 professional football games in the Championship for Blackburn, in and out of their side. 7 professional football games.
He ain't going to be worse than Dyer. Don't worry about that.
And then Dyer. Yeah. But you've got to look at the recruitment. You've got to look at the recruitment and say, you know, it's just not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. And we'll pay the price.
I mean,
pay the price against Fulham. Shocking.
I'm not
going
to go into a big one about it with him, but I mean, Dyer as well, he is so slow. I mean, my man would probably be better ball control, be quicker on the ball, and be able to turn with the ball quicker if he came on the pitch with a bloody scooter. He's terrible. I think he's. He might as well have his little scooter with him because he'll do better because that can at least go 10 miles an hour. He's quicker than that boy will ever get. He's crap. I'd have kept Sanchez, and that's going some.
Me and David, we always seem to agree in stream or completely disagree. He's disagreeing with pretty much everything I'm saying today. What have you been drinking? Aston Villa are better than us. You really worry me about your opinions. I'm not saying they're better than us. I'm saying why would you leave them? You're scoring hat-tricks under Emery. You finished in Europe. You pay better wages. They pay better wages than us. Right now, why would you want to leave Villa? Their starting 11's fantastic. They've got a great starting 11.
Well, they've got better depth than we have.
Pau Torres, Matty Cash, Douglas Luiz, as I said, Zaniolo for backup, Watkins. You know, they've got some great players.
Yeah, I tipped Villa.
Diaby is a star. Diaby is a star.
Yeah, mate. He's a baller, man.
If you had 2 teams to choose from, say you played for, I don't know, you played for Burnley, right? Watkins is playing for Burnley. If you had Villa or Spurs to choose from, maybe you'd choose Spurs. But if you're already playing for Villa, why are you going to go Spurs at this current time? I don't see it. Not in a million years.
You know, I've got my mate that I work with, and he's proper Villa. He goes every week in that. And I said to him, you know, like Saka, I think the guy's a top player, but in the beginning of this season, Diaby started off better than Saka. But then because Saka's the star boy, he's English, everybody's raving about him. But if you look at the stats, if you look at the way both players have played, Diaby is not being spoken about. Now, if Diaby played the same way he did for Villa, for Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool, these guys, people will be talking about him being worth 300 million. But because he plays for Villa and he's doing it in the Conference League and doing it for Villa in the Premier League, and everyone's talking about Villa being a small club, everyone forgets that if you don't live in the Midlands, people don't understand how big Villa actually are. Villa are actually a massive club.
In the mid-80s.
They're actually a massive club, man.
They won the Champions League. They won the Champions League in the mid-80s. They're huge. They're a big club.
Mate, you go to like, because I live in Wolverhampton, I've been to Villa Park loads. Like my old boss had a box there, and you'd go to every game, mate. And like you could go to like a Villa versus Swansea or a Villa versus Fulham, and you just get the sense that it's a big club. It'd be the same way that if you went to I don't know, Leeds. You know, Leeds, obviously, they're in the Championship, but we all know that Leeds are a big club, or Forest. You'd go
Mate,
there.
I
And
was
you'd get
just
that
going to
sense in
mention Leeds. I was literally going to butt in and mention Leeds as well.
Yeah.
To put them in that category. I was going to say that.
They're a big club, but because
They're
everybody's focused on the top six, so to speak, the top six, top seven, so to speak, no one else has got a shout. But then when you look at your Villas, your Leeds, your as far as I'm concerned, Newcastle, you're looking at Leicester. Everyone's talking about top six, but if you go off the last sort of 15, 20 years, Leicester are more top six than us.
Maddison got spoke more about the minute he come to Spurs.
Which is mad.
I wanted him, like, the minute Leicester got him and that, he's a quality. How that man does not get in that England squad, I don't know. I mean,
he gets played on the left wing. It's mental.
Yeah, I know. Apart from the England manager looking like a bloody shark, it just... He's mad, again, he's another one. He ain't got a Scooby-Doo what he's doing, and the man's not got a clue. But Maddison, the minute he goes to Spurs, next thing you know, he's all over the papers, left, right, and centre.
It's like Grealish. Remember, like Aston Villa, he was absolutely. Aston Villa was where Grealish smacked it the most. But as soon as, literally, the minute that he went to Man City, he hadn't even played a game. Gareth Southgate started him.
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
It was. I mean, but Southgate, that as a manager as well, let's just not go there.
It was. Mia says 80s, it wasn't mid 80s, it was 82. Okay, I was 3 years out. But it was against Bayern Munich as well. I think it was against Bayern Munich. I think it was Bayern Munich.
It was.
And I'll tell you what, under Martin O'Neill for about 6 years, absolutely outstanding under Martin O'Neill as well, from about 2007 to 2013. Shearer just fucked him up, didn't he? Well, a few managers did. They got that. Was it Rudy Garcia? He messed them up a little bit, and then Shearer, and it all went south. You employ Shearer as a manager, you're in trouble. And I think he got them relegated.
The thing is,
but they're a big club. But Jacob's right. Coming from
in
up
England,
north, they're a huge club. So are Leeds.
Only in England, not in the world. Not in the world. No one can tell me that Leeds and Aston Villa are big in the world. They are big in England. They are big for where they are. Same as Newcastle. They're not big in the world. They're very big for where they are. Whereas you look at Spurs, you look at Arsenal.
They will be now. Newcastle will be now.
Not for a few.
They'll be big in the Middle East.
In about 5 years, you'll see them do what City did and everything and that. Yeah, now City are pretty big, but City haven't got the same support around the world that Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man U, and Liverpool have got. I mean, Spurs are the biggest team in America, if I can remember right. And when you go to like Africa, places like that, it's usually Arsenal or Chelsea. And then
Man United are big in Africa.
Man City are massive in America, because it's only the last sort of 15 years that it's been big. The Premier League's been big in America, and Man City dominated. So there are a lot of Man City fans in the US. A lot of Man City fans.
I mean, and then when you go over,
they've got franchises all over, haven't they?
Yeah, and a lot of teams started supporting Chelsea because Pulisic was their best player for 7 years. So I'm being told that a lot of American fans support Chelsea because of Pulisic. I know he's not there anymore.
Why do you think a lot of Asian side and that support Spurs? It's purely down
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
It's because of Emerson Royal.
No, yeah.
I'll tell you what, right? That's a crazy thing to mention. A third of South Korea supports Spurs because of Son. I didn't realize the population was 62
We
million.
got the biggest support over that side of the world.
We got 20 odd million fans because of Son. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, and half the American ones that support Spurs is because John Cena likes them. It's simple as that.
But I tell you what, I keep coming back to it. But you're looking at South Korea market. Why didn't Daniel Levy sign Kim Min-jae?
Oh, mate, he'd double up, wouldn't he?
Mate,
he would absolutely double up.
Son said on national duty, this guy. Son never talks about anything like that. He's like, this guy is immense. He's the next big.
Mourinho wanted him.
So we keep an eye on him, right? Fenerbahce took him from Beijing. You're like, okay, he plays for Beijing. We need to test him first. Unbelievable in Fenerbahce. Son continues to bang on about him. We let him go to Napoli, player of the season. They win the Scudetto, and then he's gone to Bayern Munich for £60 million. And he's fucking South Korean. I'm like, Daniel Levy, what are you thinking, man? Monetary obsessed. owner. Like, I'll tell you what, we can talk about off the pitch is fantastic, but on the pitch, some of his transfer business on the pitch has been fucking horrible. If he got Grealish for £20 million, he could have got 3 good seasons out of him and sold him for £100 million, £80 million profit. £60 million on Ndombele. What's he doing now? The sales sold £40-50 million. What's he doing now? So you can tell me as much as you want off the field. Levy's done fantastically. On the field, this guy's wasted £500 million with some of these. It
seems to be that whenever we spend more than 50 odd on a player, yeah, like we try and buy. I think Spurs have done the right job through saying, do you know what? Let's just try and go for some cheaper boys again, yeah? Because every time we seem to go for, let's say, a big player, and I'll never say Richarlison was a big player, but either way, and we go and spend a couple of quid, it always goes tits up. It always does. I mean, Ndombele, he was probably one of the most wanted buds in Europe at this time. And then we get him. And don't get me wrong, my man can pass a ball when he can actually be bothered, when he's got his face out of a bloody Big Mac. Because why he's on the pitch, and he just don't look fit enough. He don't look like he's got the mentality for it. He don't look like he actually cares. I mean, about the only thing he probably does at half time is get on his WhatsApp and that to order a bloody Big Mac. He's another one. Oh, mate, we have signed some proper dickheads.
You know when you look at when you look at the players that we've signed, and then from time to time you go on social media and they'll say, the top 10 most expensive Spurs players, and then you look at some of them and you think like it's mad, because whenever if I sat down with one of my pals and said like, what's your best lineup in terms of like say the last 20 years when money's been the most important thing in football, most of the signings that we've bought have been cheap as chips. Do you know what I mean? So you look at Eriksen, I love the geezer, Dembele, Dele Alli, Harry Kane was free, Alderweireld 15 million, Vertonghen was about 10 million, Gareth Bale, Danny Rose, Kyle Walker. We had keepers like Brad Friedel that no one talks about, but he was all right for us. They're all cheap as shit. But then as soon as we bought fucking Ndombele, Richarlison, Sanchez was £45 million. Yeah, Lamela, Sanchez. It's all of a sudden it's gone bonkers. Like if you put your worst lineup, based on finances, you'd realise that we probably spent about 400 million on the worst lineup we've ever had.
I mean, if you was to name like the worst player, like say the worst 30 ever buyers in the Premiership, I guarantee there's at least 8 Spurs players in there.
Yeah, I reckon there's more.
Easy. You're probably more. Yeah. I mean, and then we go and get Basuma.
There's definitely more, isn't there?
We go and get Basuma for 30 mil, where Liverpool were like wanted to buy him a season before and season before that, and they got told you ain't having him for a penny less than 80 mil. Arsenal wanted him. Maddison. I mean, I don't want to divert this too much, but I do love rubbing this here. I mean, what is the matter with them other dickheads down the road? I mean, seriously. They go and get Havertz and that when Maddison's on the market and everything and that.
And they were crying out for him as well, weren't they?
Yeah, and you would have thought they've learned off 6-7 previous Chelsea rejects and that it don't work. But
just look at the strikers. Look at the strikers since Berbatov's been sold. The money we wasted. Darren Bent, 15-16 million. Back then was about 60 million. It was the equivalent of about 60 million back then. Yeah. Pavlyuchenko, 10-15 million. Soldado.
We could have had Shevchenko instead of Rebrov.
Soldado, 30 million. Vincent Janssen backing up Kane, 16 million. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's insane. The amount of money.
It's weird with Vincent Janssen, because Vincent Janssen is all-round game. I loved everything about it, but he couldn't score. It was horrible, wasn't it?
It was good. It would have been good in like 4-4-2. I thought he was. Yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah, but again, Janssen was another one of those ones, a bit like Richarlison. He's like your mate that comes down the pub with you and then goes clubbing with you and spends all night hovering around every woman on there, buying all the drinks, putting all the effort in, and then he has to go home and sort himself out. He's one of them ones, isn't he? He's just one of them ones, isn't he?
That's actually a good one, that is. I agree.
That is the newest member of the Hotspur Hood. That is the newest member of the Hotspur Hood. You're gonna
Do you know what it is as well? You know when you say about pub, I always say Romero's another one of your mates at the pub, because Romero's that guy that you'd be having pre-drinks, having a few beers, and you go, right, boys, yeah, there's 6 girls at the club. They're going to have a few drinks with us. After that, they're coming back with us. Calm. So everybody's on the right wavelength, but you've always got that one mate that you think, mate, all he needs is 2 more brandies. He's going to mess this whole thing up.
No. You
go in there and you tell him that the fire girl is the one that wants you, but then within 10 minutes, he's kicked off with the bouncers, and we all get chucked out. We're all going home.
That's not the brandy.
That's
not the brandy. That's because my man's gone to the toilet and done a couple. That's
my
just goes off.
Right. Slightly off topic now.
Yeah, we've gone a bit wild now, yeah.
I said we're going to delay it. I said we're going to delay this till a little bit later. So it's time to talk about it.
Let's go, Tommy.
The Scouse River of Tears. There's so many memes to talk about. There's so many memes. I've not seen as many memes with this as I have anything, to be honest with you. But before we discuss it, we're going into the last hour of the show now. I think we got only 17 people watching, but I know how diluted it is now on his YouTube, on this Spurs YouTube. So I appreciate you being here. Please make sure you smash the like if you haven't already done so. We're on the road to 3K, and subscribe if you haven't already done that either. It does makes a big difference. So yeah, let me chuck a couple up. So we got this one. This is not even funny, but it's true. It's certainly true. Revealed, Liverpool would be just 6 points for the bottom 3 without VAR, and have benefited more from it than anyone else. While Man United would fall out of the top 4, and Leeds would be 5 points better off. Now that was February this year, but it's this year. It's this calendar year. So they've got so many points off the back of VAR. And now, so that's obviously that's less so. But you'll never hear the end of it. You'll never hear alone. You'll never hear the end of it. And of course, this one.
Yes, mate. That's the one I put on
Scouse.
last night.
The MasterCard replaced with Scouse is the best part of that. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, Dan, can you believe the reaction from social media after the VAR decision? When I say reaction, I'm talking pundits, Liverpool fans.
Neutrals. Oh, mate. You know what? Yeah, I get it. Then look, let's not even go into the red cards. They were red cards, simple as, yeah. When my man went for the challenge, he had his foot up, and they say he went over the ball. Where if his foot would have gone into the middle of the ball, he wouldn't have gone over it. He'd have gone round it. He went into the ball and he skidded off the top by about 3 millimeters, whatever, and nearly done Basuma. So they say that it weren't a red card because Basuma didn't get up. Okay, so that's a yellow card. But if he breaks Basuma's leg, it's a red card. That makes no sense to me, yeah? And if that tackle would have been done on Salah, oh my God, this place would have gone erupt. Next thing you know, you'd have had death threats coming through your door and everything and that, yeah? And not just from Liverpool. Now, the other one, I don't think it was a yellow card at first for Jota, but do you know what? See any mug get it. I'm glad he did. But then what was he doing with that second challenge 90 seconds later? He's going to get another yellow. Whether it was a yellow or not the first one, he had the yellow. He should have known better, and he goes and does that.
Was it just 90 seconds later? Was it just
about 90? I don't even think it was 2 minutes. Honestly, I might be wrong, but I don't even think it was 2 minutes. I was quite happy for that because he was the one who kicked Skip in the face and then didn't get even looked at by VAR and then goes and scores the bloody winner. So I was quite laughing at him. But that offside, you can't deny it. That was criminal. That was absolutely just criminal. But shit happens, doesn't it? It happens. Get on with it. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Just get on with it. I mean, okay, I want to play the Champions League final again. And what are they going to do? Start doing replays on Liverpool? Just need to wind their neck in and get on with it. Yes, have a moan about it. Something needs to be done about VAR because I don't know what the fella was up to who was watching the VAR, but he weren't watching football. So imaginations can run wild. But he weren't watching the football, that's for sure. So I can blame them for having the answer for that. But, mate, just get on with it, will ya? I mean, some of these Liverpool gods, they're almost making themselves look intelligent, if you know what I mean.
Jacob, did you hear the audio? Because I listened to the audio not long ago.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, when literally, as you messaged me to say, can you jump on the show? I was listening to it and I was just like, you know, I compared it to what I said in my video. I don't know if you watched it, but I was just like, put it this way, like, I trust you lot enough, yeah? Obviously, I don't know Bruce too tough, but I'd get him in. Now, if it got to the point where VAR rang me today and said, right, Jacob, pick 3 people. It's going to be a football match on Saturday. Sit in your living room and make judgments, right? So if us 4 were in my living room watching Liverpool Tottenham, and then they showed one replay, because that's all I needed. When I saw that replay, I saw it once and I went upstairs to go toilet, and my son was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "Look, that's going to be a goal, man. I'm going toilet." So I've gone upstairs, gone for a piss, come back downstairs, and my son was like, "Ha ha, it wasn't a goal, I told you." And I was like, "What?" I had to look at the score and the game's gone and it's 0-0. But for me, how have I just judged that based off the lines on the pitch here? But then they've got all these HD screens. They're all talking amongst themselves and they've got that wrong. How can you get that wrong? Like, come on, boys, let's be real. Yeah, if us 4 were in the pub and we saw that one replay, like you would do on Sky Sports, it's game over, innit? Like Dan would go out for a fag. I'll go to the toilet. One of you lot go for a shit, and we'll be like, right, we'll come back. It's 1-0 down. But how have they got that wrong with they've? If I'm honest, I think the reason why VAR is wrong is because I think that they've been given too much. You're given too much equipment. You don't need that. You just need 1 or 2 screens and a couple of lines. Not the lines that, you know, not the lines I'm talking about. Yeah, not the white powder.
I think we've got into it. I think we've got into that stage of the stream. I think we've got into that because, you know, WTP, imagine he was running a cheese cracker over your knob. It's so true. It's true. It's true. We've gone down the rabbit hole now, and there's no returning. But yeah, Bruce, did you hit audio?
No, I did. I was just having a quick scan through it now. It's scandalous, isn't it? Even
this is bang on as well. Have you guys heard the audio of the offside? These official, mate, they were so excited. It was like, yeah, there was definitely on an E or something. They were proper over the top and wacky, and I don't know what the fuck was going on.
I don't know.
You have to listen to it. You have to listen to it.
Yeah, I'll give it a listen.
Wife up there with it. I don't know, but look.
But anyway, Bruce, what did you make of the whole reaction, my man? What did you make of the whole reaction? Over the top?
It's ridiculous. I mean, do you remember when we had that offside where was it Vertonghen was in his own half and he got called offside?
Yeah.
Against Man City a couple of seasons ago. Nothing about it. It's been on Good Morning Britain, all the newspaper, everywhere. Like the outpouring for him, like it's ridiculous. Like we must be the only club that unites other rivals, like all United and the Scousers getting together and going on about what an injustice it is. I mean, shit happens. Like, I agree, move on. Like, what
even Manchester have stuck up for him, for God's sake. And Manchester and Liverpool.
This is what I mean.
Yeah, that's when you know it's massive.
Yeah, I mean, Manchester and Liverpool.
Did they really? Well, I suppose Gary Neville's getting his, involved, but he always fucking gets involved.
No, he's an idiot.
Anyway, isn't it? But that's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, I've never known anything like it. All the decisions that there are, and if it's a smaller club, it's just get on with your day. But because it's one of the perceived like bigger teams, it's always the victims, aren't they?
Yeah, but again, if that would have been us that was offside.
Sorry, Dan, carry on, man.
It's all right, mate. If that would have been us that was offside, it wouldn't be such a big kick up about it, yeah?
No.
Liverpool.
It would within our fan base, definitely, but not through pundits. Not through pundits.
It'd get a few mentions in that, yeah? Same as Arsenal. Yeah, it gets some mentions in that. But when it happens to Liverpool, it just, I don't know, it all just erupts, basically, doesn't it?
You have to look at the people in the media in the age of them. They'll all have grown up 70s and 80s. They'll all be Liverpool fans. Same as like a lot of them that'll be coming through in the media soon. They'll all be Chelsea, won't they? Arsenal. This is where all the bias comes from, and like Sky's the worst for it. It's just full of Liverpool and United everywhere. The pundits, the presenters. Yeah. There's a link somewhere, and like they're all supposed to be impartial, but are they bollocks?
Look, when I'm watching, I think with the
Scousers, what it is they're making up for lost time, because like the Scousers used to get it in the neck and more when Maggie Thatcher was around, didn't it? So it gets to the point where it's the truth, though. It's the truth. It's like, you know, my uncles always tell me this. Like Liverpool was just scorned upon. So it gets to the point where they've become their own little city. And I know a lot of Scousers. I know a lot of boys from Liverpool that kind of even go as far as saying that they're not even English. Do you know what I mean? So I think it gets to the point where we're like, if you're saying that and you're saying you're not English, and then the English media say like, you know what, blah 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 blah. The victim mentality is weird because there's a balance between it. Because part of it, you're like, what are you going on about? But part of it's like, well, I can understand where you're coming from, because if your uncles were living in the 80s, you were actually victims. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you've got to look at it,
a weird one. But it shouldn't come down to the football. It should have come down to the football, because realistically, like, I was having it out with one of my Liverpool mates, and he was like, "Oh yeah," he had the cheek to say to me, "Oh, Tottenham get all the decisions, like we're Real Madrid." I was like, "Are you mad?" I was like, "Do you remember when it touched? Like, do you remember when Sissoko started that Champions League final when he got his breast tickled?"
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mean?
Play Champions League final again. I think some of these Scousers, the effort they put into football, maybe they want to get on the council about their windows more than the bloody football. But they seem to care, or lack of windows. They seem to care more about the football, don't they?
It's dirty what the Scousers get though, because I know Scousers, yeah, and generally I think Scousers are the most honest people, because everyone calls them bin dippers, but I know bin dippers in London. I know bin dippers in Manchester. You know what I mean?
I've never heard of them as bin dippers till I see this. I'll be honest with you, I never heard of them as bin dippers. It's never a phrase that I've really come across.
Mate, they've been called that for a long time.
Mate, me and Tommy are both we both grew up in Kent, mate. How many bin dippers you seen around there, bruv?
Mate,
there's bin dippers everywhere, mate.
Especially Faversham and Chatham way. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, that's where where are you from, Dan?
Yeah, I ain't gonna play it on here, but just to say, Dartford ain't a million miles away, and I used to go clubbing down there.
Yeah, I was brought up in Medway, so mate, you ain't got to worry, mate. I'm bottom of the pit.
No, mate, I'm more like
too far away. I ain't too far away.
More Bexley sort of thing. More Bexley.
I lived in Southend till recently, and I tell you what, Southend is the fucking pits.
Bruce is looking at us like, what the hell is going on here?
You ain't been Dartford, mate. Dartford is like.
Yeah, I know about Dartford, mate. I used to play football there quite a lot, man, when I was younger.
When you start clubbing at Zen's and that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, Zen's. I remember that place, man. Flipping hell.
But yeah.
Do you know what it is, right?
Yeah. Do
you know what it is with the Scouse River Tears? I think, do you know what it is? At the same time, the constant crying and the pundits getting on their side, it's awful. I think it's ridiculous, over the top. But they're an ambitious fan base.
Yeah.
That's a real ambitious fan base.
Of course it is.
It's like Man United when they didn't like their shirt. They didn't like their shirts this season. They got fucking 12,000 people protesting about their shirts outside Old Trafford. We can't get 100 for 20 years of fuck all for one trophy in 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So fair play to them. That's a passionate fan base. I think it's well over the top, and nothing's going to happen if they think this game's going to get replayed or anything like that. They're fucking they're high. I don't know what they're smoking. The best solution they've got is getting a time machine or something. That's the only way this game's getting replayed. You know, there's no other way. But look, the fallout is over the top, and next up, final part of the show on a Tuesday is Muppet of the Week. And I'll give you a clue. Muppets of the Week, Sky is one of them. Sky Sport is one of them, because for a long time, as Bruce said, I don't think they're too impartial. I don't think they're too impartial at all. But I tell you what, I think Klopp come across really well in the post-match press conference. He didn't say a great deal. I think he come across pretty well.
I agree.
Yeah, no, there wasn't a problem with that. But then again, at the same time, he was like, I can't really say much because I'll get fined. So you know,
that's the reason why.
Yeah, you can't. It's cancel culture, innit, and fine culture. So you don't know what's happening. But look, I can understand the dismay from Liverpool fans. What it was, I just listened to the audio before. So they knew it was onside. So VAR, they knew it was onside up in the VAR room, but they forgot or didn't realise that the original decision was offside. So they thought the original decision was onside, and so they were just like, go ahead, carry on. They forgot that the original decision was offside, so they had to change. They had to change their decision. So when Liverpool fans hear that in their droves, They're going to be furious, but
Yeah, they're going to be furious.
They're going to know there's not an agenda. It's not an agenda against Liverpool. They're going to know that.
It's when it kicks off. They can't rechange the decision, can they? They have to make the decision before it kicks off. If it kicks off again, they're not allowed to make a call on it.
What they're saying? What's that thing they call it when they can interject? They can use their own. They can use something. I can't remember what it's called. They can use something. They can still. There's a word for it, not just in football. There's a word for it that they can do something in the 30 seconds.
I know what you're on about, but you know when the word's there, and I can't think what it is.
It's like interjecting in the game, but I can't remember the actual word. There's a word for it. Use your I can't.
Use your fucking brain.
Either that or send him a WhatsApp message.
Before we do get into Muppet of the Week, I just want to talk about the upcoming games and the previous games briefly. So 7 games unbeaten so far. The teams we've played so far, you're looking at them. Other than Brentford, there's no teams in that middle 8. It's either top teams or teams that are probably going to get relegated. So, Brentford, Bournemouth, we played all the new promoted teams. But we will do on Saturday when we play Luton. Burnley, Sheffield United, who we just beat. And then, of course, we beat some big teams, Man United, Arsenal, and of course, Liverpool. Next 4 games, Luton, Fulham, who we lost to. That's probably the only sort of mid-table side teams that were going to be fighting for us in terms of where we finished last season. They were going to be playing so far. Palace and Chelsea. Chelsea are definitely going to in and around where we were last season. So is there anything we can make of that? And in 12 points. 12 points available in those 4 games. Dan, how many do you reckon we're going to get? Luton, Fulham, Palace, Chelsea. And one more thing I want to mention is Fulham and Palace in the same week. So it's 3 days before. It's 3 days rest between the games, and we haven't come up against that yet.
And they're little London derbies in their own, isn't it? I mean, are we playing Palace away or home? We're away.
Away.
We're at Palace Park. Our record there is not good, is it?
And Palace aren't an easy team to beat away. They're not. I'm not saying they're a great team at all, but they can be a right pain. Mm-hmm. But these games coming up, I mean, even with the Chelsea one, this would be probably the first time in my life I'll be saying it. We should actually win this, yeah? But that's the problem when it comes to being a Spurs supporter. This is where you sort of start losing a bit of passion. I mean, I know we got the ones out there saying we're fighting for the title and everything and that, but that one, again, I think you better put your pipe down. These ones are for the ones for me that are the most unpredictable because I just know Spurs too well off the history. Yeah. I know I keep getting people saying you got to be more positive and that, and I have been with whatever, but it's just every time I look at a game like Luton, it's sort of like you look over your shoulder at the past, isn't it? Okay, we're in a different time, this and that, but that bit is still hanging on your shoulder, scaring you like we should be doing this, but we're Spurs.
Just look at the Sheffield United game.
We should get 10 points out of this. We should get 10 out of this.
So unbeaten. Unbeaten after 11 games. Dan, can we say after 11 games? That's what it'd be. If we're unbeaten, can we say, well, I don't know, but top 4, definitely. Top 4 is.
Do you know what? At the start of the season, I'd have looked at it and I thought we're lucky if we finish 8th again. But the way we've played, but this is all going to go on injuries, like we said earlier. As long as we manage to keep it clean up until January and get a few players in to back up and that, top 4, I don't know, we should do it. Either way, I think we get top 5 because 5 would get us Champions League this year, wouldn't it?
Yeah. With the
so about that.
So I think we'll be in the top 5.
36 team Champions League table, 36 teams, something like that. It's 36. Yeah, I think it's 36. It's just going to go mad next season.
Basically, it's whoever finishes 5th. They've also got to have a little bit of a history in the past 10 years in the Champions League, and we have. If anything, we got more history in the past 10 years in the Champions League than Arsenal, which we have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so you got, as far as I know with the rules on it, you got to have a little bit of history on it as such, not just your first time finishing 5th and that. So I do reckon we'll get Champions League this year, but a lot of it for me is going to come on injuries. Do we get them or don't we, and whatever. Yeah. But we should be getting 10 points out of this.
And as I said, fitness levels, Fulham and Palace within 3 days of each other. And we saw the only time that's happened this week, we had to put a second team out this season against Fulham. and it was disastrous. It was disastrous. You're going to have to use those second 11 at some point. You're going to have to. You're going to have to, whether it's injuries or just to keep players fit, to prevent them from getting injuries or actual injuries. So you're going to need that second 11.
But you don't make 9 at the same time.
Jacob, 10 points. Do you see that as realistic? Luton, Fulham, Palace, Chelsea.
As soon as you said that, that's what I thought. 10 points. I thought Chelsea. You know, it's one of those. It's a London derby, and you know, if football's a weird game. It's like if they go and spend the next 3 games and go and get 3 on the bounce, and they've got some momentum, that could be a trickier game than we anticipate right now. But we've got Luton. You know, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're about to lose to Burnley at home. So the way we sorted out Burnley, we should have confidence with a full squad that we win that. Crystal Palace. You know, I hate that game. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of ones. If you concede the lead in that game, and them fans, mate, like. Palace is like one of those. If you're a Palace fan, you're at home, you take the lead. That is the definition of a 12th man. So you need to go there and keep them quiet, which not a lot of teams do. You know, I've seen Man City struggle over there the last couple of years. Arsenal, we've struggled there. United have lost there. Liverpool, you know, their title challenge crumbled there. So it's a difficult one. So that's the one game that I would... That's the one game I'd worry about, but I think I'm quite confident we'll beat Luton, and I'm hoping. I think the only thing that gives me a little bit of worry is that we're playing Luton first. So Tottenham are, we're chronic bottlers. So if that's a game where we say, right, Tottenham win that game, we go top of the league, and let Arsenal and Man City decide what they want to do. When you've got scenarios like that, Tottenham lose.
Yeah.
So for me, if we go and win that game, I'll get, the momentum will build within me to say that, maybe something's changing. And when I talk about things changing, I've just realised that Lons are beating Arsenal 2-1.
Is it 2-1 now? I just looked at it and it was 1-1.
Come on. Things are changing, lads.
Wow, that's crazy.
Just as I said, man, the law of attraction.
Both clubs are unbeaten. We're unbeaten with Arsenal. We're the only teams that are unbeaten now.
Yeah, we're the only.
My best mate was giving it this morning, going, "Yeah, you might be unbeaten, but we're unbeaten in all competitions." Oh, I'll ring you in a bit, bruv.
They beat PSV 4-0, but it's PSV and they're fucking terrible, aren't they?
Come on,
at the moment. And they play Carabao Cup, didn't they? Went through. They went through in the Carabao Cup. So
they're a good side, you know what I mean? You know how it is, lads. We all I can tell we all know our football here. I'm not one of these guys. You get some Tottenham fans that because they support Tottenham, Arsenal are shit. It's like no. When you look at Arsenal in its entirety, they're a good side. They're a solid side. Like if they're fit and they've got all positions covered very well. If they had Timber fit, Declan Rice, if they had their full kit in that game in the North London derby, I would probably be behind my sofa within 15 minutes.
I think Declan Rice getting injured at half time was a big one. I do. I think.
Oh yeah, as soon as I've done that, man, I had the red wine out. I was like, yeah, nice man, we ain't losing this.
Arsenal are similar to us. What Arsenal did in the transfer market was similar to what we did. We made our first 11 better, same as they did. Mm-hmm. But the drop, apart from up front, to what we've got on the squad is that poor that it shows. And apart from them getting Timber, who was probably going to play anyway, one way or another. As soon as that happens, they've got no cover in defence now. If they lose another defender, they're as screwed as we are.
But I believe that they signed well because they've got Gabriel and Saliba, who's outstanding, and they signed Timber for that backup. And they're just unlucky that he got injured.
Look at what
they've got Ben White and Tomiyasu. They've literally, if you look at their squad, I said it to my best mate. Like, he's my best mate since I was 8. I said, literally, you've depth wise, take injuries out. You've done well there, man. You're ready for a challenge.
I don't know. They're not. I think.
But apart from in attacking positions, because you look at Jesus and Nketiah, and I'm like, No.
That's the big one. The big one's
And
number 9.
midfield.
When I looked at the team, I agree with you, Jacob. When I looked at the team and Chelsea, Nicholas Jackson, good like sort of winger. Why are they not signing striker? Why have they not signed another striker? And I'm so happy they stuck with Nketiah, but it's nowhere near good enough. Number 9. They got backup in camp. They got Smith Rowe that can play on the left if he's fit. He's a quality operator.
Good player.
Vieira. Vieira's playing
But
loads
they
of
don't
games
play
now.
him. They don't play Smith Rowe. They brought him on for 2 minutes. If I was him, I would have refused to come on.
But he's a very good player. He's a
but
very
what
good
I'm
player.
saying is,
And he's
it's
not getting
the
into
drop,
the team.
apart from up front, it's the drop of quality to what is next. I mean, what's
massive.
his name? Who was it who came on for Declan Rice? I can't pick his name now.
Jorginho.
Yeah. That's of the same standards, isn't it? No, not at all. Rice is up there.
To be fair, you know, Jorginho's a Champions League winner. He's a World Cup.
I'll give him a Blue Peter badge at the same time as well, Tom. But the man's like 30 odd now, and he ain't up the same standards anymore.
Are you taking him as backup, or are you taking Skip as backup? You taking Jorginho as backup?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. You know, you say that
is a good question.
Crap, but I don't think I've seen Skip pull off a howler like Jorginho did when he basically stood there.
That was shocking. That was shocking.
But Jorginho finished second in Ballon d'Or one point, didn't he?
You know,
yeah, he was a great player.
I think there's a backup. I think if you're looking at playing backup, I don't think that's terrible backup, Jorginho. I don't.
But it's a big drop to Declan Rice, isn't it? If you want to rate Declan Rice and you rate him as an 8 or a 9, Jorginho, you'd barely rate him a 5 or a 6 now. It's a big drop.
I agree.
Same as it is on their wings.
I know we're the same. We're the same, but I'd say even
exactly
worse, because behind Maddison, it's Lo Celso. And for me, there's nothing. There's very, very little to even go in his history in terms of Lo Celso.
And behind Sarr and Basuma, it's Skip and Højbjerg.
There you go. So I do think we have slightly better depth, and I think that goes with why they were in the running last season and we weren't. But they have been very, very unlucky. I mean, Rice injured. What is it? Is it Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, and Timber injured now as well? So
I don't know. I think Martinelli and Trossard are back online, basically.
Are they back on? Did they start tonight? But they weren't there for us, were they? They weren't there for when we played them. But we held our own. Look, we absolutely held our own in those games. I'm going to sound a bit negative now. I don't really care.
No, we took it to them.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the previous games, so I put previous and upcoming games. Look, Sheffield United, it took us injury time. 1-0 at home to score the equaliser and score the winner. Bournemouth, we played well. Burnley, we were losing. It's Burnley, we still conceded 2. Brentford, we drew. Man United, we could have been 2 down in the first half hour. Arsenal, we could have been 2 down in the first half hour. Liverpool, Fulham, we lost 2. So it's been a good start, but I think it's still very, very, very early days. And I'm happy with the optimism that you're telling me, that you're saying, 10 points out of the next 4 games. And to be fair, it's because the quality of opposition. If you chucked a Man City in there, or if you chucked a Brighton or a Villa in there, maybe it'd be slightly different. But Luton, Fulham, Palace, and Chelsea, I think I've got to agree with the 10 points. I mean, Bruce, how do you see it? Because this is the first time I've had you on the show. So yeah, I mean, what have you made of the previous games? And of course,
I didn't watch the first 2 games. I was too busy sulking over Kane leaving. The Man United win. I mean, it looks good on paper. You beat Man United, 2-0. But the more you watch Man United, the more you realise it's not that good a win, because they're absolutely shocking. Honestly, I think this is the worst. I mean, I've been watching Sporting Spurs since '89. This is the worst Manchester United side I've ever seen. So
I could go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get too excited.
Worse
over
than David Moyes.
Yeah, miles worse.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah. At least he had Fellaini in the middle.
Fellaini. That's what made. That's the. You said the F word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At least they had something in the middle.
Nothing
there now.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, they've got nothing. Like I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with the Bournemouth game, to be honest. Now, whether that was just me still like sulking and having my little temper tantrum, other things, I don't know, but the Burnley game was the first game that I was like impressed with. I thought, okay, there's something here. And then again, the complete drop off from that, the Sheffield United game, that was shocking. absolutely shocking, and it's completely what I expect from Spurs all the time.
But we stuck to it, and we usually don't.
The thing,
do we?
Yeah,
that's
but
what
the thing is, they outdid themselves. Sheffield United. If it weren't for all their time wasting, we wouldn't have had 12 minutes added on. We wouldn't have had time to get those 2 goals. I know you can say, like, you know, it happened and we won.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
We massively got away with one there.
And they lost 8-0. We talk about Man United in the other games they've played in, but
I mean,
Sheffield United lost 8-0 the following week.
Again, yeah, do you know what I mean? And then everyone's saying
that's the worst thing. I was jumping around when we beat Sheffield United. I had my top off with my son and all sorts.
I haven't seen a reaction like that at the ground. I ain't seen a reaction like that at the ground since we beat fucking Ajax. So, you know what I mean? And it's Sheffield United 2-1.
Yeah, then everyone's saying like, "Oh, are Newcastle gonna compete in the Premier League and Champions League?" That's how they're going to compete. They're going to do a Champions League game away in Milan, come back, spank Sheffield United 8-0. We struggled. I mean, the Arsenal game, I thought was good. There was maybe about a 20-minute spell. I thought
at the start, at the first 20 minutes, it was Arsenal. And it weren't. But
then
good.
we grew into that, and that really made me sit up and take notice. And then again, the Liverpool game, I thought the drop off was massive. So I'm hoping with the Luton one, we're then going to pick back up. I can see us getting the 3 points there. And then it worries me going into the international break because we always come back with injuries. Always.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Romero, without fail, he's get injured at Argentina, isn't he?
But I can see us, I can see us with 10 points. It's the Palace game. It's the Palace game for me. Although I've just seen, I think Eze's out for 6 weeks.
Right. He's a good player, that one.
He's one of their players.
What a player he is. I love him, man. I love watching him.
He's quality.
I mean,
definitely.
We're going to come unstuck there. I don't think we'll lose, but we'll drop points at Selhurst Park. Don't travel too well there, but I mean, with this Chelsea team at the minute,
you just don't know what you're going to get, do you?
No,
it's so unpredictable. If Poch weren't their manager, then I'd be laughing. But it's just like, he's probably going to come and try and do clockwork on us.
I watched Chelsea the other day, and don't get me wrong, they dominated. They scored 2 very early, and they've got some good players like Gallagher, Fernandes, Mudryk. They've got, they can take on players. They can, but it doesn't look like a unit at all. They just, even off the pitch and off the field, they don't look. There's no unity there. It just looks like complete individuals, and that's what it is. They've got £100 million player here, £150 million player there. There's no unity at all on the pitch or off it. It's literally just individuals running at the defence. Yeah. It seems so. Even with the win the other day, they got a lot of work to do. But as you say, Jacob, look, Poch there. Whatever happens, huge. The game's going to be.
It's huge anyway.
His first return.
My concern is they've got 2 back-to-back wins now. They're building a little bit of momentum there. They're not really been conceding like tons of goals in the defeats that they've had either. So I am a little bit worried about that, but I think that's just previous. It's previous in it again. Chelsea always beat us. No matter where we're playing.
That's where we've got probably the worst record ever at Chelsea.
Yeah, is it at home or away? Is it at home? Yeah, we're at home.
It's at home. About that. Yeah, I know, but
he's returning home. Poch is returning home. So yeah, certainly.
There's just something about playing Chelsea that makes our asses fall out. I don't know what it is.
Wait, don't worry about that, man. I'll have cement on my bum hole. A cigar.
No, if ever there's a time to beat Chelsea, it is now.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get the win now because, that's the reason why it's a little bit skeptical because I don't know what. To be honest, I watched a podcast and they said that I think they've got a tricky October and November. I think in the next 2 months they've got us, they've got Arsenal, Man City, and United, and I think they've got the top 6 in the space of 2 months. So that will test them because as much as everyone will say like, oh, you know what, if Chelsea come out at the wrong end and end up being 15th in the league, if I'm a Chelsea player or I'm a Chelsea coach, I'll be thinking, well, hold up a minute. If we come out of them 5 games with 12 points, all of a sudden we're in the mix for the top 4. So
exactly. Exactly.
It just depends how it goes, doesn't it? Do you know
We've
what I
got
mean?
to look at it. I'm not excusing Chelsea at all. I'm not excusing them at all. But Poch in his first year at Spurs, it was not going well. A lot of people were calling for his chop, the chop after January time, even after January, February time. A lot of people were calling, for the chop. We just come from AVB, I think, and his winning ratio was much, much better. So, early days under Poch was not good. He's gone with youngsters. I think he's done the right thing in a window. They got rid of 22 players, Chelsea. 22 players. So they got the job done, apart from number 9. Again, the number 9, exactly what Arsenal fucked up with. And I'm happy they did. They didn't sign the right number 9. Man United didn't sign the right number 9. They should have signed Kane or Osherman. And they got Højlund, who's just a young boy. I feel like the teams around us.
Speaking of United, United are losing 3-2 to Galatasaray.
Come on, Gala. Sanchez playing. Sanchez playing, probably.
The thing Chelsea done, there's 2 things. They got American as owners who thought he could walk into it like NFL or something. And then, like you say, they got rid of 22. But then when they go and buy like 800, 900 million pounds worth of players, another 10 players, and about 8 of them have never even met each other. He ain't very well at the start. But my American man thinking, this is just like NFL and that. No, total different game. And I think there's only one player for them, as far as I'm concerned, that's actually looked half decent. And that's that Enzo. And don't get me wrong, when they get him going, he's going to be dangerous.
He is very good.
He's a baller, absolute baller.
Nobody knows each other on that pitch. This is one thing. If you go back in a bit of time, you look at the Germans. There was at times they were so deadly when they didn't even have a great team, but you could put a blindfold on them, spin them around 10 times, and they still each knew where every player would be. Chelsea, they can see everybody and they still ain't got a clue where anybody is because they're all basically fresh at the club, isn't they? That's the problem they're having. Give them a year or 2 if they keep it. I think Poch is in real trouble. I think he's going to be out in another 2 months if he don't watch it. But it's going to take a bit of time for Chelsea. So this is the time to play them.
Bruce just put in the chat, Sanchez got an assist. Sanchez got an assist. He's going to, honestly, with Gala.
Are you serious?
Guarantee they'll win Europa League, man. They'll win Europa League. It'll be another player that wins another trophy. Lucas Moura won one the other day, didn't he? For Sao Paulo, he won a trophy and he was emotional.
I've seen that video, man. I love Lucas Moura, man. You know what I mean? I'm not saying
I do, man. I loved him as well.
But I loved him, man.
There's not many players I say that about. I'm like, that emotional bullshit. But Lucas just seemed genuine, man. Got his wife on the pitch, got the kids on the pitch. He just seemed fucking genuine, like he gave everything.
Proper stand-up guy, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he gave everything. Some of it he just thinks fake. Like some of the player, like Dyer and some of the you just think like, it's bollocks. Even Kane to a certain extent. Sometimes. Yeah,
it's like Dyer. You remember when Dyer was giving it in the North London derby? I was like, mate, the way you think you're big, like I know me. If I was in Dyer's position and I was giving it like that, man, Ramsey would have got knocked out. You know what I mean? But he was just there going, I'm going to just kick off. Like, nah. Just be real.
So, famous last words, but I fully expect to beat Luton this weekend. They said they're literally playing tonight, lost. Beat Everton on the weekend. They lost late tonight as well. So, confidence is going to be down. Confidence is going to be down. I thought, they're out of their depth in the Premier League. I said this from the start. They're completely out of their depth and they will go down.
Everton,
them as well.
That's the thing. We haven't played. Everton as well. They look fucked. They haven't won at home for about 12 games. I know they won the previous game before they lost to Luton, but they're fucking doomed as well.
If they don't go down this year, mate, they're going down next year because they basically done what I think Aston Villa.
Their new stadium is stunning, man.
Whose is this?
That is a proper stunning stadium.
Which stadium are you about?
Everton Stadium.
The new development. Yeah, trust me. But then the thing is, they're going to do that, and like they got to be careful. They got to maintain status, man.
They're going to be in Championship. They could do what Leeds done. Leeds, big club, but in the Championship for 20 years.
Aston Villa done it. If I remember right, it was nearly 4 years. They was just about drifting off of it and then on the 4th year, they went down. It was that close for 4 seasons straight, if I remember right with Villa, 3 or 4. I think Everton, if they don't watch it, they're going to disappear this year or next year, I reckon.
Under Ancelotti, they were fighting top four. People were saying they're gonna go for the title under Ancelotti. They were unbelievable. That's what great managers can do. That's what great managers can do. Right. Okay. Finally, final part of the show. Muppet of the week. This is how it works. You can choose one of my nominations, or you can pick one of your own for Muppet of the week. So, of course, first up, Sky Sports. Gary Neville, Sherwood, Richards, Paul Merson, some of the very worst punditry you will ever see, as far as I'm concerned. How Michael Ritchie gets to work on the BBC and Sky, I find incredible. I just find it incredible. Guy just laughs. Paul Merson can't get his words out. Like the start of every sentence, he just can't get his fucking words out. I don't know how these guys make a living. So that's Sky Sports. Daniel Levy. Look, Daniel Levy hasn't done much wrong this week. Although the news has sort of overshadowed stuff. One of my mates sent me a headline before the show saying he's killed a few more businesses this week and he's going to make more housing developments in around the Spurs area. So there's that, but he will always have a spot on Muppet of the week. Daniel Levy, always exclusive member here. And finally, Liverpool fans, of course, sending off, disallowed goal, loads of moaning from the game. But on a more serious note, there was loads of racism that came Udogi's way, like a lot. And I don't want to stereotype a fan base, but the majority of Liverpool fans are wankers, as far as I'm concerned, especially the ones down south, because a lot of my mates are Liverpool fans, and they're just simply glory hunters, as simple as that. Just glory hunters. And yeah, they're the worst. They're probably the biggest culprits for they're not Scousers, are they? Just Liverpool fans. So, yeah, there's so many glory hunters. Sky Sports, Levy, Liverpool fans. You choose any of those, Dan, or you got one of your own?
I mean, I still don't get me wrong. I mean, Paul Merson's still Paul Merson, isn't he? And we all know why he stutters. It ain't because he's got an impediment. Or nothing,
yeah, he may have gone to rehab. But nothing's been.
It's not because he's got an impediment, is it? You know, my man, to give it that big's been out to the toilet quickly. But let's not go there. Yeah.
He went to rehab and just found more dealers. It's as simple as that.
He probably found more of them in the Sky office as well. But either way, yeah, Paul Merson, he's had his Muppet and that. Personally, I think these Liverpool supporters, they are making themselves look like idiots in the aspect of, I totally get it. You have the ump about it, but mate, it's happened. Get on with it. But they are making themselves look like idiots on there, down to the point where they're saying that Spurs employ, like, realistically meaning it, that they reckon Spurs employed the referee or bought the referee off or bought the VAR off or whatever, saying that we actually won that game because we bent it up, basically, and that. You're just like, mate, stop coming up with excuses. You had a decision go against you. It happens to everybody. And you had 2 red cards that you fully deserved. Get on with it. So for me, it's the Scousers, mate. They're just making themselves look like. The one bit I do agree with quickly is that Liverpool want to hear what was said with the VAR and that. I get that. Do you know what? Fair play. That's where the clubs got to link up together now against the VAR. But the ones that are going on about how we want to replay, this could cost us our season, this, just, mate, get on with it. I'm bored.
You know it's
so
not
Scousers for me.
You know it's never going to happen.
Well, if it happens, then how many replays will there be?
They know it's not going to happen, but they're looking probably for leeway or for referees, like in the future. Like, we've got to double up. We can't give Liverpool anything, the other team against Liverpool anything this season. So subconsciously, some of the referees might be looking at that and be a little bit more biased towards Liverpool. What? There's like that. I know it sounds crazy, but there's little things. There's little things. I mean, look at Ferguson and look at Fergie time. And just those little 30 seconds or minutes makes a big difference. So maybe that's how they're looking at things.
And
maybe
the refs,
how big clubs look at things.
The refs up when they're playing up Anfield ain't nice. You all know what the crowd's like. The poor fella's probably coming off the stand wondering if his hubcaps are going to still be there. So it's going to be it's going to be challenging, isn't it?
But they tell you what, they cannot complain about the sending offs. I don't care what I hear. They cannot complain about the sending offs. It was a little bit harsh. As I said, the Jota first one probably wasn't a yellow, and some referees wouldn't have given that as a red because he did win the first. But letters of the law, he could have easily snapped his ankle, and it's dangerous. It's a red card. So I don't think they can really complain about either one of those decisions. But Jacob, my picks of the week: Sky Sports, Daniel Levy, Liverpool fans. It's 1-0 Liverpool fans so far. or have you got one of your own?
Yeah, one thing I'm surprised you haven't put up is the referees. They're the Muppets of the week because
I was going to put VAR in front of the Scousers, but I love that Harry Enfield scout.
No, the thing is, I hear you. The thing is, I ain't gonna lie. When I seen the Harry Enfield and chums, I thought as soon as you put it up, I thought to myself, like, I ain't watched that for years. Like me and my best friend, we used to sit there.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
We was like 13 years old, man. We used to sit there and we didn't care about nothing. We used to sit there
Have a couple and watch it, wasn't it?
Yeah, man, it was the best.
Calm down.
Dim nice, but dim. Who's Wayne and Waynetta? It was brilliant, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. So like, my mum would come in with the hot chocolates and that, and it'd be like, hey, you lot go bed, but we'd be watching Harry Enfield and chums. Yeah. It's the dumbest show ever, but it was the best. So I understand why you put that, but VAR, not even the technology, the people that look at it, because like I said, if us four, if I'll go as far as saying at the weekend, you lot come around my house, we have a few beers, we watch the football, all day. Now, if there's any decision to contest, I'll say to you boys, right, what do you reckon? Write it down on a notepad. You lot will be right, but then somehow VAR got it wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, they've got all the facilities that they need to succeed, and they're still messing it up. So it's them lot. I'm not being stupid. It's like the way I look at it is like you're a virgin and you've got 10 fire women that haven't had sex for 10 years, but somehow you wake up in the morning and you ain't had no sex.
We need a different podcast. When Dan and Jacob on, we need an outside Spurs podcast. We need a night out podcast. No,
forget a night out podcast. We need a night out
vlog, man. You need to stream live and your nights out. I think that's
we need to take Bruce out on the Kentish one.
Oh, mate. Some of the things I've seen, mate. I've seen some things.
You might end up in an orgy, but you might get nicked. It's up to you.
Either or.
Either way, it's a session.
Oh,
even before the pronouns. You might be struggling with what sex some of the people you're talking to are. It's not good.
Even back in the 90s up Dartford, you had to pick whether it was a man or a woman.
So it's 1-0 VAR. It's 1-1 Liverpool fans VAR. I'm going to ask for your view in a minute, Bruce. But talking about Bruce mentioned that Davinson Sanchez got 1 assist. Audio's telling me that he got 2 assists. Did they score another? Or what's happening there? It looks like Man United have lost either way. But Bruce, Muppet of the week. Levy, Scousers, VAR. What was the other one? Can't even remember. Oh, Sky Sports, of course.
Zaha scored. I
mean, it's a difficult pick, really. I mean, usually I'd go for Levy all the time, but he's going to get a pass this week. Purely down to I've got to go with the Liverpool fans. I mean, the racism that they've been aiming at our players is disgusting. The calls for replays on games, like what a dangerous precedent that had set. Like every contentious decision you're then going to get right. Well, it's a replay. But it's just such a ridiculous thing to say. And you've got grown men setting up petitions for Parliament to debate whether you should get rid of VAR and do replays. To grown men, like as if they've got time to sit around and do that. Like it's just taking it too far. It's not even a bit of banter at that point, is it?
But sorry, mate, but Liverpool, most of them have got a lot of time.
Well, yeah, that's true. That is true.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just it's got to be them for me.
Sorry, I love that Dan's preaching up at his own joke. I fucking love that Dan's just
That's the thing. I've always looked at Dan and thought he's a serious guy, but he just sat there for the last 10 minutes, giggling like someone's tickling his ass.
It's because it's all true. That's the thing, though. It ain't even joke, man. It's true.
It's mad though, because I was speaking to, I know some Scousers, like my mate Sonny, and my cousin. They're proper religious Scousers, and they're when they come with it, it's like they could be on this show right now and it'd be calm. But then as soon as I go to the pub and I'll be like, oh yeah, you support Liverpool. It's like flipping hell, man. Like before they even say anything, you feel like you got to give them a tissue.
I'll tell you what, this is a weird one. We've got a super chat right at the end. Well, super sticker. If Sonny Wife, if you had something to say, you should have just put it in the comments. So if you got something you wanna say, or you're just supporting the channel, thank you a great deal for the super chat. I'll tell you what, right? So it's 2-0. It was 2-1 Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans wins it for me. I was going to put Sky Sports because I just can't fucking stand Paul Merson. I can't stand Micah Richards just laughing the whole fucking show. I can't stand Roy. I can't stand Roy King. Just sold himself out.
Hey, leave Micah out, man.
I like
Micah's
Roy King.
You won't fuck with him.
I like Micah Richards.
You won't
Micah
fuck with him,
Richards
would you?
is
That boy's put
smiling.
on. He's always big, but fuck me, he's put on some muscle. Like since he started, since he got on Sky Sports on BBC. I wouldn't say nothing to his face, but
Oh, United just lost to Galatasaray.
Oh no, 3-2. 3-2. That's probably where the
And
assist
Arsenal
come
as
from.
well. Boys, I love
you look at Micah Richards, like you said, that Micah Richards is a big old lump, isn't he? But look at the way he talks and that. He still looks like he wears pink boxers. He's just
Hey, boys, I'll tell you something though. Do you know the mad thing, yeah? When Micah Richards used to play for Aston Villa, he was all about, like, I lived in Birmingham and he was a proper roadman. I remember speaking to him in a club called Rococo and saying, yeah, you know what, you're doing well for Man City. So the Micah Richards that I see on TV, he's either really grown up or he was fake before, because it was like, the Micah Richards that I see is not the Micah Richards that I spoke to in the club. Trust me.
Arsenal just lost.
Yeah, it's all happening. It's all happening. I'm looking at the Man United. I'm looking at the Man United starting lineup, and I've got to say, they got Hannibal in centre midfield. Who the fuck gave him that name anyway? That's sacrilege in the first place. But they got Hannibal in there. Casemiro, fantastic sign. Mason Mount, £60 million. Amrabat, playing Amrabat left back. Amrabat's a quality player. Amrabat left back. Fucking hell, Dallas. Oh man, do you know what?
Casemiro got sent off, I think.
Yeah, it looks like 2 yellows. So they scored 3. So Sanchez got 2 assists. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. I'm telling you, we should have kept Sanchez. We should have kept Sanchez at least for the assist. But right, we're going to wrap the show up there. As I said, I was going to say Sky Sports for Liverpool fan, but it's Liverpool fans. Muppet of the week. Thanks to the viewers for watching. As I said, I know it's very, very diluted these days. We usually get a lot of views on the recorded after we've gone live on the recorded version. So if you're watching live or on the recorded version, please make sure you smash a like. Get in the comments on the recorded version too. And Dan done his first show last night. Make sure you check that out. We've got some good views on that. Dan's
I saw that.
Everywhere. Dan's here, there, and everywhere. So it's about time he started, coming on a stream and releasing his own content.
Join the show, mate. It's appreciated.
Yeah, it's about time he started releasing his own content. So yeah, good time to wrap up the show. It's been emotional. On the road to 3K. Yeah, we're still far, far away, but yeah, please subscribe if you haven't. Big up to today's guest. Dan needs no introduction. It's not an introduction. It's an escape. He needs no escape. You're going to see him about. You're going to see him about a lot on this channel. And I'm guessing you're on other ones, aren't you, as well, Dan? Spurs, time added on. Sava.
Yeah, go on with Alan a lot. Speak to Sava, Perchy. Sort of just bounce.
Shout out Alan as well, man. Trust.
Yeah, he's a good fella.
Yeah, man.
Because Jacob, yourself, you go on Alan's. You got your own stuff. You release your own short videos. So yeah, tell us what you're up to, man.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. I used to go on Alan's, but it's one of the ones that the group that we have is been quiet. But I just do my own thing, and it's like for me, it's like I've got a lot going on, so like I'm trying to sort out things in my personal life. But once I sort that out, I've got to the stage where I want to create a platform where not just you lot, I've got other people that have probably helped me elevate, because I've got so many people that have said, "Oh, Jake, you know your football," and I've just gone, yeah. But then people like yourself, Tommy, and you lot on the show, Alan as well, Ryan Madden, they've always helped me. So it's going to get to the point where once I sort myself out, we all got to get on the show and do it proper, because us as Yids, everybody knows that we've gone through everything in football. So what I'm saying is once I get myself sorted, mate, we're going to smack it.
Yeah, Jacob, you got to start doing some lives as well, man. You got, as I said, when you're not busy,
me.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will, and you'll have loads of people to come on. And the one up top. So make sure you get on the one up top. He's on Twitter.
Yeah.
You're on Twitter as well, Jacob. You can find pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I'm on Twitter, YouTube. I've just done a video on the Liverpool Tottenham fiasco, and it's doing quite well, to be fair. I think it's 200 views plus, which for me is a big thing. So I just want to keep it going. But I'm not going to just glorify myself. Just make sure that if you're watching this video, make sure you're liking Tommy's channel. Make sure you follow Dan as well, because me and Dan have got opinions that are very, very similar. But on top of that, with Bruce, even though he's been quiet, every time he spoke, shout out to you as well, because I respect your opinion as well. And it's mad because your accent, I'd never think you're a Spurs fan. So, just love to everybody. It's one in ones, whether you support Tottenham, you support Arsenal.
Not Scouser, Bruce.
As long as you support football, I've got you, man. It's like if you want me to chat or if you want me to back it, it's just I just love talking to football.
The thing with Bruce and non-Spurs, let's say Southern Spurs fans, is you're definitely not a glory hunter. You're definitely not a glory hunter.
When I go back to my country in Tanzania and chat to my cousins, I've got my cousins. Oh yeah, you support Tottenham because they're the big team in England. I'm like, you need to come live with me for a couple of years. It's not the case.
Has Levy made friendlies in Tanzania? He probably fucking has. He probably has.
He probably has, man. He's probably got kids out. He's probably got kids out there, isn't he?
Fuck's sake.
Little mixed race kids and that.
You got kids out there. Right. So, Bruce, cheers for coming on, man. It's your debut. I hope, you're definitely going to get invited to come on future shows. So, are you up to anything? I know you're on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. Not currently on any of the pods, and don't have my own channel at the moment. Just thanks for having us on. Nice to meet you all. It's good to get some of it off my chest about Tottenham.
That's what it is.
Bruce, and what you want to do is make sure. I don't know if you.
This is why I started.
I don't know.
COVID. I had no one to talk to. Like, it's therapy, man. It's therapy.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you haven't, I don't know if you follow the other two, but let's all, I'll follow you as soon as this chat's done, because I love it when I love talking football, mate. Like, honestly, if someone told me get paid the wage that I get paid now to talk about football, I'd quit my job now.
I just find with a lot of things, that I watch are just too serious sometimes. I just find a lot of things. I find a lot of football fans, they just ain't got a sense of humour anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just an opinion.
What about me? WTP. If you ever want to come on, my man, TTB Twitter, right? Send me a DM. You've been a big fan of this channel for a long time. So if you ever want to come on, I'll bring everyone on. It don't matter. I've had the biggest Levy-inners you'd imagine who go well against what I've said in the past, and they're invited. Everyone's invited. As long as it's football debate, as long as it don't get personal, it's just football at the end of the day. I'm game for everyone. So WTP, get at me. TTB on Twitter if you want to come on. Come on. Sorry, Sonny wife, but I've dated Klopp's long teeth since 18-19. I have to say thank you ever so much for the super chat. He's up there with Arteta, isn't he? In terms of just hate. Watching Klopp on the sidelines and Arteta on the sidelines. Arteta takes it to a new level. But on the sidelines, I can't stand either one of them. Although Klopp, I feel like...
It's weird, though. I'm all right with Klopp, though. I don't know.
Same.
It's weird.
He's a good manager.
I'm all right with Klopp.
I never used to be. I never used to be on board with Klopp, but I definitely am. I think it's when they start losing. I think when the team starts losing, I'm happier with the manager. And they didn't have a great
I'd rather my manager be a bad loser. Like, fuck that. I fucking hate losing, bruv. Like, it's one of the ones. I'll play football with my friends 5-a-side, and if we lose 7-6, I'm fucking fuming.
What's a good loser is a loser. It's as simple as that. So I agree.
There you go. 100%.
Second place, you shouldn't get medals for second place. That's a whole nother debate.
There you go.
Right.
And that's what I say to my kids.
Absolutely. Peace out, everyone. Stay safe, stay free, stay classy. Follow Bruce Eyes on Twitter. Follow the one up top, and make sure you stick around because you're going to be seeing a lot more of Dan too. So peace out, everyone.